Hello and welcome to our latest event. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited for you to be here. Very excited to have this conversation with Cass. So just wanted to give a brief introduction for what we're doing and why we're doing it. So as you all know, we are women in tech, so we do tend to focus on, issues affecting women and girls in tech particularly. But we also wanted to be really aware that we have a platform and we want to be able to use that platform to elevate other disadvantaged people or marginalized groups. So when we came across WOWdot, this organization, we thought it would just be a great opportunity to talk about other people that have, that face difficulties in tech. So yeah, that's why we wanted to talk about it. We wouldn't ever want to kind of elevate women in tech above every other kind of disadvantaged group or marginalized group. So yeah, that's what we wanted to talk about. I will just mention briefly our code of conduct. As with all our events, we ask that everyone participating, whether comments or speaking, abides by our code of conduct. Brief overview is basically just please be considerate of other people, and we don't tolerate any form of discrimination, whether that's based on gender, gender identity, your race, your religious affiliation, whatever it is, it's not acceptable. If you have any issues relating to the code of conduct, please feel free to contact one of us. You can contact us on socials or via our email address. You can find the link to our code of conduct on the Meetup page if you want to read it more in full. So yeah, that's all I had to say. So let's first welcome Cass. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Joanna. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yes, pleasure to have you. Right, so just to start off, I thought I'd ask you to tell us a bit about yourself and what's kind of brought you to the position you're in now.
So yeah, my name is Qasim Majid. I've been living in Birmingham for the last 20 years. Grew up in Yorkshire, actually. I moved to Manchester, and then in 2002 moved to Birmingham permanently. So I'm a tech entrepreneur. I've been in the tech industry and digital industry for 20 years. Grown businesses, and right now I'm the chief exec of a WOW group of companies, which has 5 brands doing various things in technology and digital space. From e-commerce to content to IT infrastructure and some creative digital art stuff as well. Yeah. So my background is all about building and scaling businesses. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. So could you tell us just sort of what WOWdot is like? What does it do?
So the 6th brand is that we've got in our business is WOWdot, which is our foundation company, which is it's a community interest company, and it was set up off the back of last year in the pandemic. So one of my previous roles was the president of the Chamber of the Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce, and in particular the Asian Business Chamber of Commerce, which is a really privileged position to have. And I stepped down from that in September 2020. But whilst you're in these positions, a lot of people demand your time, and you get asked to do some really amazing stuff. And like I was saying earlier, you get invited to so many black dinners. It's black tie dinners. It's unbelievable. So I got invited to a roundtable because we're part of this consortium that looks after the West Midlands forces, cadets and forces and reserves. And I met a lady there that was part of Birmingham City Council, and she approached me, said, "Oh, we've got this forum, which is a cross-party forum from Birmingham City Council that looks at poverty, in particular child poverty, across the board, and that includes health, well-being, housing, etc., etc." He said, "I'd like you to come and join the board as the business lead, and then see how you can help with your network of contacts." Been privileged to have a fantastic network of contacts, and So I went to my first meeting. My first meeting was in April 2020. And the first thing on the agenda was obviously lockdown. So there's a real kind of magnifying glass on child poverty because of what had happened with COVID. And the thing that particularly resonated with me, obviously we know that poverty exists in the UK and in Birmingham, but the thing that really resonated with me was the fact, and I hadn't heard of this, if I'm honest with you, I've been in the industry for so long now, was digital poverty. And it got my ears pricked up thinking, well, what's digital poverty? And it was the fact that those children in this city that, first of all, didn't have access to the internet, and secondly, didn't have access to a device. So obviously with the lockdown that happened, the schools closed, how were these children going to ever access education? I mean, I just got a real bee in my bonnet about it because, my children have access to devices and have access to the internet, and they could continue with their studies, albeit in a very kind of, different way. And I thought, well, an education has been a big part of my life growing up. My parents were really, adamant that I got a good education and that I went to university, etc., etc. And I know there's people in the press that, particularly in entrepreneurs, they're always kind of saying, well, schools aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing and universities aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. Well, my friends and I have had a fantastic experience and have a privileged upbringing in terms of we've had access to education. And as I got deeper and deeper into this thing, I took it upon myself thinking, well, actually, we need to eradicate digital poverty. And the numbers are startling. The numbers are absolutely startling. In Birmingham, the official numbers of children that are considered to be that have digital poverty is around about 5,000. We know that actually that figure is more around 15,000 children that don't have access to that don't have access to the internet and don't have access to a device. So I thought with my extensive experience, extensive network, there was something I could do, and my background. There's something that we do. So I put a team of people together. One of them being Millennium Point Chief Exec, Abby Vlahakis, who's the Chief Exec of Millennium Point. Another contact of mine does recycling of PCs and laptops. Some other organisations that were involved, and plus the Child Action Poverty Forum. Really kind of bring those people together so we could really kind of look at helping these children. So, cut a long story short, 10 months later, we were going to launch in September of 2020, but that didn't happen. And actually coincided with the third lockdown in January, because by then, this digital poverty thing was it kind of gained momentum, and it was really big in the press. Now, just to give you an understanding, is that digital poverty existed before COVID and it will exist after COVID. It's just that COVID highlighted this big problem within the city. So we put this campaign together, and off the back of it, we thought, well, now's a really good time to launch our foundation. We do charity work. I do charity work anyway. So we set up our foundation because there was no vehicle to collect money for this campaign. So we set up WOWdot, which is a community interest company, and specifically, WOWdot is being set up to collect laptops, second-hand laptops. We could go out to the business community, ask for money for new laptops, but I thought, well, actually, because of the situation that everyone's in, why not get people to donate their laptops? We'll refurb them through one of our partners. It will cost a fraction of the cost, and we can support a family. So what we do now is we provide 12 months internet connectivity free of charge. So we pay for it 12 months in advance, and we provide them we provide children with a refurbished laptop. Now the schools play an integral part in this whole process, because we distribute the laptops through the schools, because we provide them with the operating system, and then the schools will actually put on their safeguarding software, because we don't understand safeguarding. We don't pretend to understand it, and we don't want to understand it. We provide it to the schools. We donate them to the schools with 12 months internet connectivity. So they get a MiFi dongle. A lot of these children and families are quite transient. So they move around a lot. So the technology that we provide allows them to take an internet connection wherever they are. So it's not a fixed line connection. It's like a device that's just like the size of my iPhone, and it gives them unlimited data, and we pay for that upfront. And and we've got a target to support 1,000 families. We're at probably around 200 now, in terms of what we've supported, and we're constantly distributing laptops out. And it was a case a few months ago where my boot of my car was full of laptops, and I was being inundated. I was going out and doing deliveries, because I needed to understand from the cold face of how the process worked entirely. And actually, as an organization, as a consortium, WOWdot, we're the only organization that does it from cradle to grave. So the full process, collecting laptops in, refurbing them to what I would call military grade. So all your data's purged in the right way. We provide you with a certificate. If it's end of life, then we'll destroy it, and you'll get a certificate, whether it's been destroyed or whether it's going back out. And you'll also get what your carbon footprint is. So if you're an organization that's worried about your carbon footprint, it will allow you to see what impact you've had on the environment as well. We collect them in, they get ready. We provide 12 months internet connectivity through our partners Intercity Mobile, based in Birmingham, have been brilliant. And the dongles get sent to us, and then we provide the dongle and the laptop to the schools, and then they distribute it out to the most vulnerable children in our city. And we have an undertaking from the schools that is kind of a means tested, and it sounds a bit cruel, but we want to provide the laptops to the children whose families cannot afford the internet.
Yeah, the ones that need it the most. Yeah.
The ones that need it the most, and then obviously it tears down. But this is the stark reality of the situation. These families that we're supporting, their first priority is food.
Yeah.
Everything else.
It's not internet. It's not a computer. It's surviving, isn't it?
It's not the internet. And I'm rambling on a bit, but just to give you an understanding of how that impacts not just the child, but it also impacts the family. So if you've got a single parent, and it might be a mum that looks after 3 or 4 children, obviously moving around a lot, and she's they're hand to mouth. What that internet connection and that device is doing is not just giving that child education or the access to education, but also it's giving that mum access to benefits, it's access to society, access to applying for jobs. No longer do you buy it. You're too young. No longer do you buy the paper on a Thursday evening and look through the jobs. It's all online. It's it's Indeed, or it's job sites, different things. So all of a sudden now, what you're doing is you're providing real opportunities or access to opportunities for that single parent as well.
It's allowing them to forge connections in the community as well, isn't it? Not just like by getting jobs, but by socializing and by forming networks with people that they might not be able to otherwise.
And the internet's something that we just take for granted. You've got it on your device, you've got it on your phone, you've got it in your house, you've got Wi-Fi. Some people that don't have it, and I was shocked when I heard that. I know the poverty exists.
Absolutely. I mean, like yourself, I think before the pandemic hit, I never really considered that people didn't have access to the internet. Yes, I knew kind of like objectively, like, yes, some people wouldn't, but To think that there's so many thousands of people in our own city that don't even have access to the internet. They just can't afford to. They can't afford to worry about whether they can buy a laptop. Like you said, they've got more pressing concerns.
So you extrapolate that out. You've got a child that can sit their exams, that can do better in their grades. They go on and they go on and get a better job. So they're inputting back into the economy. You're providing access to the parent that can pay, that can go out and get a job opportunity, that can go out and do stuff, and then obviously it's better for the betterment of the macroeconomy of Birmingham.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, particularly during the pandemic as well, it sort of struck me after sort of hearing about your organisation and really thinking about what it meant to not have access to the internet, that during the pandemic, NHS 111, you were only supposed to actually call the number if it was to do with COVID. So any services you wanted to access for 111 had to be done online. The only way to apply for universal credit is online. And just basic things like that, we take for granted. I take for granted because I have an internet connection. But if you don't...
And how do these people... and how did these people order their food? Online. If you're ill, you're isolating. You're shielding. How on earth would you have ordered your food? I mean, it's just it's mind-boggling. It really is.
Because I think I found there's a sort of a brief paper that was published by the government talking about COVID-19 and digital divide, and like you said, there's not been a huge amount of research into the digital divide, like this kind of digital poverty, before the pandemic. It was quite sparse what had been looked at, but they found, the biggest factors in your likelihood of being in digital poverty was age, region, your socio and economic status, and whether you have a disability. And obviously all of those things, generally speaking, with older people are less likely to have access to the internet. But all of those things, they would have been so compounded by the pandemic. Like you say, if you're vulnerable, if you've got a disability that makes you vulnerable and you can't leave the house to go grocery shopping, how do you order food if you don't have access to the internet?
And it should not be happening in the UK, in this city. It just should not be happening. And and that is my mission, to eradicate digital poverty.
And it's so encouraging to know that there's someone doing something about it, that there's people trying to make a change. Because I found some figures that said, this is for adults rather than for children, obviously, but it was saying that on average, you get an increase if you have improved access to the internet and reduce digital poverty. There's earning benefits of between 3 and 10%, so you get 3 and 10% higher salaries. You have employability benefits, like you said. You can't apply for jobs online if you can't get online. Shopping is generally cheaper online, so you can buy more food, you can buy more products. There's communication benefits. You're able to communicate with your sort of social community, but also the wider community, 14% more frequently. And you estimate it take 30 minutes less time to access government services and banking services and health services if you do it online. And it might not seem like a lot, and we might take it for granted, but for some people, that 3% income boost, that ability to apply for that job, to find that extra job, the slight savings you get by buying online, that can be a huge thing. That can really affect, someone's life, whether, you go from living absolutely on the edge to just having a bit of a cushion. And I think going off that, I wondered if you had any sort of feedback. I mean, I know it's been a really new initiative. It's only a few months old, but I wondered if you'd had any feedback about who had been helped, particularly through WOWdot.
So we're in the hundreds now of helping children, and the impact reports that we're going to be getting through in the next few months to see how it's happened. But some anecdotal kind of stuff is that the conversations that we're having with the schools is that the children that are using the devices, they are using them for education, which is really encouraging.
Yeah.
And you know what? If they're using them for gaming or doing, whatever it is, a bit of YouTube or whatever, that's fine too. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Predominantly from the data that we're getting, or sorry, the conversation that we're having, because we can see, not so much see where they're going, but we can see kind of what it's being used for. It's being predominantly used for education, which is brilliant. Normally, you'll find that sometimes that really does provide hope to people at what we would call the below the poverty line. And I think a lot of people, when you're in that situation, you just want to be able to do the best you can with the services that the school and local government are offering you, and so therefore people will use it for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there has been a tendency for people to sort of ignore your poverty level in whether they kind of think, oh well, they're not poor because they've got all these factors that they can't control. It's because they're not working hard enough and they don't want to study, and that's why the attainment gap exists, which is just so untrue, isn't it? And like you said, you can see that they want to learn, they want to form these connections, they want to achieve. They just need to be given the opportunity, which you're doing by giving them that ability.
And it's to provide these children with, look, my children, they're privileged. They've got a great life, and there's this misconception actually that the poorest will waste the thing that we're giving them. That actually it's so far from the truth that actually what they do is they grab hold of the opportunity and they make it work for them, and that's what you find. Whereas my children are just going through data like it's going out of, it's like it's going out of fashion. So and it's used on stuff that's irrelevant. So,
I wondered if you had, obviously you're still working towards your first year goal of providing 1,000 families, 1,000 children in need with the devices and the internet. Have you started to sort of plan beyond that? Do you have hopes beyond, like aspirations beyond the pandemic and beyond this year? I wondered if you had anything that you could share, or if it's just a bit far away.
And we've been approached for other projects and for doing other things, like obviously we called it the Connect In projects, and so we're looking at women in tech and kind of this. I've got my views on that, and I'll share them with you in a second. And then the older generation, the kind of silver surfers, to provide access to them, because loneliness is a big thing. And the way the older generation consume technology is completely different to someone that would kind of learn the internet. And the older generation, the advent of Alexa and I don't know what Google's called, that's really good, because what the older generation find it hard is working a device, but actually if they're using their voice, that makes it so much easier.
I mean,
much more accessible.
My just anecdotal example, my grandma is almost completely blind, so she can't dial a phone, but there's a Google device, her being able to say, okay Google, and then call this person, it allows her to keep connections with people. She can't work a phone, not even like a normal like handset with the buttons. She can't do it. So she's able to do that now because of this voice activated devices.
And so that allows so much more accessibility to services and that whole thing about loneliness, particularly for the older generations. A big thing is loneliness, and then women in tech. Very much the big thing now is people talking about not so much of the digital divide. So the digital divide is obviously device and internet, but also the digital divide and digital poverty is also digital skills come into play in that. is how do you use the technology to better your life, to understand it better. So that skills gap is something that we'll be looking at in the next 12 months, and in particular
That's really great.
around women, because if you empower a woman, you're not just empowering the woman, you're empowering a family, you're empowering a community, you're empowering a city, and actually ultimately you're empowering a nation. And I have very strong views about women in tech. I think they're a lot better. The women that I've employed as techies in our business have been far better than the men. I say that's a general sweeping statement, and the reason for that is they might not be as competent, but they have empathy. Whereas the guy techies, their relationship is always with machines, you know. Whereas a lot of the ladies, they have much more empathy, so they understand customers a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, well, obviously, clearly that's something that we care about a lot, is being able to bridge that gap, because the statistics about how many girls say they want to go into tech, and then you come back 10 years later and how many say they want to go into tech, and I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but the drop is huge. As when they're little kids, they don't see why they couldn't go into it, but as they get older, there's those kind of barriers that are already creeping in, even through senior school, and making it seem like it's not really a job for a girl, or so we're obviously hugely passionate about trying to encourage girls and give them those skills, those tech skills that help them, enable them to be a part of the tech world and contribute in that way. I guess we also need to talk a bit about how we can help with WOWdot. Like, what can we do? How can we support? If our members wanted to get involved, what could they do?
Yeah, it'd be amazing if you could. So that we've got four ways you can be involved. Number one, donate your old laptops. We don't care what condition they are. We just say donate them. If they're end of life, we'll deal with it. If there's something we can do with them, we'll do something with them. That's number one. Number two is you can donate some money, hard cash. So it costs us about £300 to provide a laptop and 12 months internet connectivity. We've got some fantastic supporters. Aston Villa have just donated a large chunk of money to us.
Oh wow!
I mean, it's just been amazing. Aston Villa Foundation, big shout out to those guys. So that you can donate some money, and we've got our GoFundMe page that you can donate some money on there too. So the third thing is, which everyone can do, is spread the word. If you see it on social media, if you see me talking about it, doing things like this, just give it a share, give it a like, tag someone in. It's been so powerful for us to be able to do that. Get that message out there. That's what we want to do. Amplify the message. Use our community. Use my my influence. Use my network. And then the snowball effect has just been unbelievable. Doing things like this, we don't know who's watching. Someone might pick us up. Send me an email, and and then another conversation happens. And then the fourth thing is, volunteer. Help us distribute, some of the laptops. Help us collect some laptops. At the moment, we've got four actually. 4 points you can drop off laptops. You can drop off laptops at Aston Villa. You can drop off laptops at our office. You can drop off laptops of our recycling place, our EPC, and one of our best supporters. You can drop off laptops at Millennium Point. And actually, I think you should speak to Abby at Millennium Point, because they're doing a lot of things around STEM, getting girls into tech. So it might be worthwhile for me to connect you up with Abby, who's the chief executive, and maybe you can do one of these with her. So after the live, if you drop me an email, I can connect you up with Abby. So that's the 4 ways you can get involved. unless you can think of something else, then we haven't thought of it.
I can't think of anything else now, but I'll absolutely we'll be in contact. And we always like to keep a dialogue open with our members. So if they have anything, if any of you watching have anything you want to suggest, by all means, let us know and we can pass the message on. We would really encourage you, if you know, depending on your relationship with your employer, if you have an employer, but we would really encourage you to speak to them as well and see if they as a company can donate devices or donate money. Because I think we really, I mean, me personally and the other organisers, think this is a really great initiative, and it's something that we, you know, it's so important, as we've talked about, getting needy children, disadvantaged children access to the internet to be able to continue their education, but also, as we talked about, it's help benefiting the whole family in so many ways. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'm sure Cass would be happy to answer them if you want to drop them into the comments below. I'm sure he can answer them. Yeah, I think we've got a couple of comments. Let me just double check. Sorry. Oh yeah, so Passionless Pointless has said, can we donate / get other companies to donate? But yeah, absolutely. As Cass has said, that's strongly encouraged. That's one of the great ways to help. So do you have, is there a particular site to go to? Can we link to that in the description maybe?
I think we've got a GoFundMe page.
Right.
Which
would the details be on your website? Because that's scrolling across the bottom of the screen now, I think.
I think the GoFundMe page is on there. Let me just double check whilst you're on.
Great.
It should be on there. It's amazing being in technology and then the technology doesn't work. Yeah, there's a donate button on there. Yeah.
Lovely.
Let's put it into the comments.
Do we have any other comments? Yeah, so again, Passionless Pointless has asked, do you know of any similar initiatives around the country if you're not based in Birmingham, or are there any that you would recommend from other places?
I had some engagement with Nominet. Nominet's like the company's house of the internet. Nominet are doing some campaigns where they're kind of aggregating campaigns like ours together, and then they're connecting people up. So it might be worthwhile just kind of putting Nominet digital poverty in Google and finding out some more information. But there's initiatives going on around the country. As far as I'm aware, we're the only one that's doing it from end to end. People that are donating laptops, and they're donating them direct to schools. There's some issues around that, around safeguarding, around sanitation, and all that kind of stuff. So what I would advise is, if you've got laptops, is to connect up with an organisation like ours, because will then make sure that the laptop's cleansed, purged, the data's purged correctly, etc., etc., and it's distributed through the right channels. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, I mean, one of the things.
Hello?
Hello. Sorry, we've had some issues there. Joe's got off. Where were we?
I think we were answering some questions.
Okay. So we've got one from Anne M here, which says, how are you going to reach families? Sorry if you've already answered this.
Yeah, so as I said, we're reaching children through the schools. So it's the schools that we donate our laptops to, and then it's schools that will then distribute them out because they're the ones that will put the safeguarding software on. We don't reach out directly to families. There's too many issues involved in that. I know there's some people that are doing that, but from a safeguarding point of view, it's really important that we work through the schools network. So that's how we're doing it.
That makes sense. We've also got also from Anne M. What is a family defined as? Which is a bit more of a difficult question, I think.
So for us, like I said, it's the schools that identify the children that need the laptops, and it's for them to then distribute it out. So I'm not quite sure where that question is leading, but
that's all right.
but yeah, so it's the schools that will identify the children that need it the most.
Okay. Next up, we've got Rachel L, who says, "How would we donate? Is there a website?" So you've just sent us the GoFundMe link, haven't you? So I can put that.
Yeah.
I can put that on the YouTube channel and in all the content we're going to put out afterwards. So everyone can go ahead and donate. That'd be good.
That'd be amazing, yeah.
Okie doke. And then we've got another one from Rachel L here that says, "Are there other items we could donate, such as old mobile phones?"
Funnily enough, we're just having conversations about that at the moment, and mobile phones are great. We're not there yet in terms of taking in mobile phones, and the reason for that is we wanted to focus on laptops. Several reasons. Number one, quite transient, so they need to pick them up, take them with them. We have taken some desktops in. So the West Midlands Combined Authority donated us 150 laptops. 150 devices. Some were desktops. They just take up a bit too much space in people's houses because a lot of these places are quite small. They'll eat from one table, and they'll only have one table, and putting a desktop on there doesn't sometimes work. But we'll take desktops in, and we're just talking to quite a large it's a huge organisation, transport organisation. They've got 1,000 mobile devices they want to give to us. Nice. We're just kind of holding back a little bit because what you'll find is what we found in the past, not through us, through other projects, is they've gone missing. So they've got a device and it's gone missing. So we're just trying to work through how we make sure that doesn't happen. And the last thing is, on a desktop or laptop, some of the work that these children are doing will only work on desktop or laptop because they might be using PowerPoint, they might be using Excel or Word, and using that on a mobile phone is quite difficult.
Yeah.
Just to give you a case in point, there's one family that we've supported who the single parent, it's a dad, he's got 4 kids, he goes out to work during the evening, they've got one mobile phone, and it's the dad's. When he comes back in the evening, the children then use in turns the mobile phone to do their homework, and they're doing it through the night. And it's kind of, you think, well, so if you think about the lack of sleep, their well-being, etc., providing them with just one laptop makes a huge difference to their lives. It can be done. It can be done.
But laptops generally better.
Generally better because of the work the nature of work that needs to be done.
Okay. Yeah. That's brilliant. I think that's the end of the comments we've got so far.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hand it back over to Joe.
Sorry for dropping out there again. Of course, technology would go wrong as we're a tech group. So yeah, thank you very much, Cass, for talking to us. It's been really great to hear more about the work that you're doing, and I really hope that our members have enjoyed it. And to everyone who's watching, thank you very much for joining. We hope you've got something out of it. We really hope that you donate something, donate money or donate old devices, or speak to your employers about donating. That'd be really great, because we want to support this. We'll be linking to the WOWdot website, and we're directing you to like their social media accounts in the description and on our social media accounts, so you can find out a bit more information. And again, we would encourage you to follow them, so that anything that they sort of talk about, want to promote, you can share that and spread the word. As for us, as always, please follow us on socials. We like to do a lot, all our announcements we put on socials as well. So the handle is at the bottom of the screen at the moment. What we do like to do is share job opportunities as well, and things like that, and other really cool initiatives. So yeah, I think it would be really great. You probably hopefully get some good content from our social media accounts. You can join the meetup group as well, and subscribe to our newsletter. We're going to be announcing our next event for the end of April very soon, and we're really excited about it. We think it's going to be a great time. So yeah, thank you very much for joining, everyone. I think that's everything we need to say. Thank you, Cass, again.
We also got a lovely thank you
Thank
comment
you
there below.
Cheers.
So yeah, just tell your friends, your families, get all those old laptops and get them donated with the links. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Thank you, Cass. Bye.